0414.
With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. It's a live show. You can call us at 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. Get Down to Business is powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. You can find them online, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510. It is a jam-packed week, a lot of information to share with you, and I'm joined here in studio by Chani Richter, who is involved in helping businesses look good, which we love to do on this program. So, Chani, thanks so much for joining us here in studio.
Thank you very much for having me, Shalom. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Well, I know you have a very impressive resume and a very impressive background, and the businesses that you've worked with rave about your services. But I want to talk to you about you and your background and what your experiences have led up to working with the businesses that you work with today.
That's a great question. I'm an FIT graduate in fashion design and have about 17 years in the garment industry. I worked for big names such as Jones New York and traveled the world producing and helping to manufacture fabrics and clothing. Then I got married and moved to Chicago, and there wasn't much of a fashion industry here the way I was used to. So I moved sideways into real estate. And I am now an interior designer for over 10 years. And it's been very successful and very fulfilling.
Well, it's the weather that surely attracted you here to Chicago. Not quite the fashion. I understand.
Exactly. Love the snow.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your clientele. My understanding is that you work with some businesses that may not have the resources, the in-house resources to make their businesses look good, individuals that might need your support. Tell us a little bit about the people that you work with.
Okay, it's mostly residential. Most people are very overwhelmed when they have to put their homes together or their businesses together. They have lots of ideas, but they're all over the place. So they need me to organize them. So I begin with a survey, and I try to hone in on exactly what it is that makes them tick and what they like. So I ask them a lot of questions. I observe. I look at what they're wearing, look at the colors they like. I ask them what they love, what they hate, what they could live with, what they can't live with. And it's really all about them. And I work very hard to surpass their expectations.
Tell us about the strangest request that you've received.
Oh, you're kidding me. The strangest request. Well, I was once... I'm not a big fan of pets, even though we have a dog. This woman had so many pets when I came into the house, and I honestly, I couldn't help her. You know, I just couldn't help. It was smelly.
Beyond help. Oh my gosh,
that was a little bit beyond my scope. But what I really like to do is save people their most important resources, which is time and money. So through me, they could save a lot of time and a lot of money because I get all the discounts. I have a lot of really close relationships with the vendors. They take care of me, and I, in turn, take care of the clients. I'm still trying to think of some funny case scenario. Okay, here's a funny case scenario. I did a whole house with a client. They weren't very happy. So, of course, I was like, my heart sank, and I went back into the house. I removed all the mirrors. And then they looked at it and they said, now they're happy.
Very, very interesting. It obviously, you have the eye for those little things, but it sounds like you put yourself in your client's shoes, and whether you agree or disagree with their choices, you help them design and develop that perfect
I go with it. There was a client that loved orange, And
that doesn't sound like it's your thing.
It isn't, but I made it work. I did a beautiful, if you could picture a beautiful orange, and toned it down with a charcoal gray, and it made the whole room look so sophisticated that you would never know that their focus point was the orange.
Geographically, where are you working? Where are the houses and the clients that you work with?
Mostly Skokie and the North Shore.
Okay. And houses big or small? Do you need to have a very large budget in order to work with an interior designer like yourself?
No, that's a big misunderstanding. I actually save them a lot of money. They don't need a big budget. There are different ways to work with designers. I can go into that. One way is per hour, which I think is the most fair. And whatever I buy, I pass all my savings on to the client. Another way is they pay full price for everything that I purchase and don't pay me, and I just take the difference between the wholesale and the retail price.
So you mentioned earlier the fantastic relationships that you have with vendors, and I guess I'm used to hearing about interior designers focusing on kitchens as an example. Tell us a little bit about other areas that you're able to bring your talent and your expertise into and really make it shine.
Bathrooms.
Okay.
Bathrooms are huge. Kitchens and bathrooms.
Shine.
They should.
Shine.
They should absolutely shine. You should feel very good and comfortable in your bathroom. Bathrooms, powder rooms, living rooms, bedrooms are huge. How do they get all their ideas into their bedroom, their sanctuary? They want to relax and rest, but they have so many things going on. They have certain pieces of furniture that they can't get rid of because they inherited them from, I don't know, Aunt, Clarice, whatever, I don't know who. And they have to keep that in their bedroom. And
Clarice was a hoarder for sure.
She was a hoarder, and she gave her stuff to her grandchildren or nieces and nephews. And how do they work around that old piece of clunky furniture? How are we going to make that work?
We're talking with interior designer Chani Richter from Skokie. Although you work with individuals throughout the North Shore, as our loyal listeners of this program surely know, we love to squeeze, and I don't use that term lightly, squeeze for tips and advice. So I think it's the same thing. I keep going back to the business side of things, but I think it's the same concept for individuals in their house as well as for professionals in their business. Everybody needs to make do in an environment that they may not have. They may not have constructed their own house or their own large office space. What is your tip for somebody that doesn't have a lot of space to work with? Let's talk about a home office as an example.
Yeah, I hear your question, and it is a big concern, and a lot of it has to do with scale and the size of the furniture. If you have a small room, you can get a lot of beautiful, smaller scale furniture to make that work for you. And organization, being very organized, is key also to make everything in their to put everything in their place and keep it all nice and smooth and harmonious with the space.
So, again, going back to the partnerships with the vendors, that's fantastic, and surely you have catalogs and catalogs. But what about clients that want to go shopping? Will you actually partner with them in that sort of shopping experience, looking for that perfect and ideal furniture?
That's a big part, and the most fun part for me is shopping with my clients.
I see the smile on your face.
Love to shop. Shopaholic here. Love to shop. A lot of my clients don't like to shop. I take them everywhere, and that also educates me with what they want and what they don't want, and what they still love that pattern, for their bedroom comforter. Do they still love it after this store? What do they like better, this or that? Do you love it? Do you not like it, but it works? If it works, but you don't like it, it's not going to work. There's so much out there, and we try to make it all work so that you're very happy at the end, and that's usually the result.
Well, interior designer Chani Richter, who can work with the color orange as well as with mirrors that you may not personally agree with. Very, very impressive. Thank you so much for joining us on Get Down to Business. Believe it or not, we are actually running out of time, but I want to make sure that our listeners can find you. And I know you have a little bit of a special promo.
Yes, for Shalom, for all of your wonderful listeners, I am offering a 1-hour consultation for 2 of the first callers that call me. And my phone number is 847-505-4495.
One more time for our listeners that didn't jot that down the first time.
847 505-4495.
Fantastic. And that's a great offer for folks that are listening to this program that might want to talk to Chani and get a little bit of advice for your environment. Free consultation. That's fantastic. Chani Richter, thank you so much for joining us on Get Down to Business. We'll be sure to check back in with you again real soon. Coming up after the break, we have more tips, advice, and information. But as always, if you want to download podcasts from Get Down to Business and hear the tips from professionals like Chani, as well as so many other professionals on this program, you can get on my website, shalomklein.com. Where you could get also a sneak peek of who's going to be on next week on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. But once again, we're powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. You can find them online, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510. But once again, Chicago, don't touch that dial. A lot more for you coming up after this quick break.
Stuck